con Carlos Guaman y Gustavo Vargas. Además, historias de nuestros invitados especiales. Un programa educativo especialmente para usted. Una forma sencilla para mejorar las finanzas. Cada martes y jueves le estaremos esperando. Prepárese que ya damos inicio a El Triunfo Financiero.
¿Cómo les va? Oigan, pues ya es jueves y es jueves 7 de la noche, tiempo del Pacífico de los Estados Unidos. Chéquelo. Siempre estamos a la hora, siempre estamos con usted. Por más de 2 años hemos estado haciendo este programa, El Triunfo Financiero, que llega a ustedes desde los estudios de el Triunfo Corporation. Ya sabe que somos una firma empresarial completa, le ayudamos con todo lo que tenga que ver, con cuidar su patrimonio, con hacerlo crecer, y más en este medio ambiente de tanta volatilidad. Oiga, chicos, el mercado hoy otra vez estamos en problemas, así que tenemos que tener muy buena información. Y le vamos a invitar a que haga 3 cosas: que nos vea, que nos comente y que nos comparta. Ya sabe que si usted da clic a esa campanita que tenemos en nuestro canal de YouTube, le vamos a alertar cada vez que estamos saliendo en vivo para que usted también nos pueda ver y nos pueda compartir. Y ya saben, en el Facebook Live siempre estamos presentes. Le pedimos que, por favor, ese botoncito de share, ese botón de compartir, usted lo oprima para que más gente pueda estar en contacto con la información que vamos a manejar en la noche del día de hoy y todas las noches de todos los jueves, porque es jueves de El Triunfo Financiero. Y bueno, el día de hoy, con nuestro anfitrión Carlos Guaman, tenemos un invitadazo de primer nivel. Vamos a conocer su historia, vamos a conocer sus antecedentes. Él es hijo de inmigrantes, como muchos de nosotros, y ha plantado su bandera aquí en los Estados Unidos. ¿Y de qué forma? Comenzó, nos estaba platicando, en una pequeña oficinita, y ahora tiene una empresa que es multinacional y que ha tenido muchísimo crecimiento en millones de dólares. Nos va a contar su historia y también nos va a platicar sus puntos de vista sobre política, sobre impuestos, sobre algunas otras cosas que estamos viviendo y enfrentando todos los que vivimos en Estados Unidos y particularmente los que vivimos en el sur de California. Así que sea usted bienvenido al Triunfo Corporation en la noche del día de hoy. Aquí arrancamos el Triunfo Financiero. Después de esta breve pausa, don Carlos Guaman y nuestro invitado de esta noche, el señor Anthony Trimino.
Si tienes una idea innovadora y estás pensando en crear un buen negocio que genere grandes ganancias, o tienes la posibilidad de continuar expandiendo la empresa que ya tienes, llámanos a El Triunfo Corporation. Carlos Guaman es el mentor y asesor en finanzas y economía que grandes compañías ya están buscando para lanzar sus nuevos negocios y construirlos con cimientos muy fuertes y sólidos que puedan sostener el gran éxito que tanto merecen. No arranques tus buenas ideas sin crear un plan estratégico que te lleve a tener grandes ganancias para alcanzar la libertad financiera. Hoy es el mejor día para llamar al 714-953-2707. 714-953-2707. Carlos Guaman, CEO del Triunfo Corporation, tiene la amplia experiencia, preparación profesional, la visión empresarial y la buena voluntad que has estado buscando. Haz tu sueño realidad. Dirígete hacia el triunfo con Carlos Guaman del Triunfo Corporation. Esperamos pronto tu llamada al 714-953-2707. 714-953-2707.
Estamos de regreso y bueno, es tiempo de presentarle a nuestro invitado del día de hoy, señor Anthony Trimino, y ya está con nosotros también nuestro anfitrión, don Carlos Guaman. Así que abrimos la toma y decimos buenas noches a todos.
Muy buenas noches, ¿qué tal? Pero vamos a invitarlo aquí al señor Anthony. Welcome to El Triunfo.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, you know?
Yeah.
Mr. Anthony Trimino, we want to share with all the audience your success story because I believe we as entrepreneurs, especially as an immigrant entrepreneur, we need to see, role models. And I believe you're a great role model for us. And please share with us your success story, your company, and all that you've been doing for the past 20 years, right?
20 years, yeah. So we'll start a little bit prior to me even being born.
Right.
I think we talked about it. My grandfather fled Cuba in the 50s, came to America to pursue the American dream, right?
Yeah.
And so my grandfather did not want to depend on the government. So he wanted to be independent.
Yeah.
And he knew America provided an opportunity to be independent. So he decided he wanted to be an entrepreneur. So he saved up enough money to purchase a metal finishing line, very blue collar work. And he started that company roughly about 50 years ago now. My father still owns that company.
Nice.
So my grandfather taught that, instilled that entrepreneurial spirit in my father. My father instilled into me. 20 years ago this past November, I started a company, small little marketing firm in Downey, California, 200 square foot office, just enough room for a desk, a phone, a computer, and a fax machine.
Yeah.
Over the next 20 years, through a lot of hard work, a lot of God's favor, a lot of sacrifice, I built that company up to be what Inc. magazine just named one of the fastest growing companies in America.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we did that in the height of a pandemic. So that was in 2020. In 2020, when my industry was collapsing, when businesses were closing their doors, when all other advertising agencies, 80% of advertising agencies had gone through 3 rounds of layoffs.
Wow.
Many of them were closing their doors and sending everybody to work from home. We went from a 5,000 square foot office to an 18,000 square foot office, doubled our staff, and then got the distinction of one of the fastest growing privately held companies in America, and a minority business as well.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, thank you so much. So that's kind of in general, high level, my story.
Okay. But now the thing is, okay, well, we know the success story. We just heard it. But tell us about the process that took you from scratch to from rags to riches. That's what they say.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't know when I started off is that we have very humble beginnings. Even though my grandfather started a company, and we would consider it successful, Forbes wouldn't consider it successful, but it was successful enough to provide for multiple generations, right?
Yeah, that's important.
It's super important, and you can measure the success of a company in so many different ways. Just that his company is still open today is a success story. That it was able to provide for our family and for everyone. My father employs about 30 different people. So then you can see how that goes into families, it creates jobs, it goes into the economy. So by most standards, it wouldn't be a hugely successful company, but definitely successful. And what people don't know is that when I started my company, we also had humble beginnings. My wife and I, about a year prior to starting the company, we were eating hamburger helper without the meat. We couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
We were in an apartment, small little apartment. We had a cardboard box as a coffee table. We had her child furniture from when she was a kid. We had a plastic patio set as a dining table. Somebody gifted us their refrigerator that they had extra in the garage. The light didn't even work. We had very, very humble beginnings. But I knew that that wasn't all that God had for me. And I was just relentless and persistent in pursuing that entrepreneurial drive that was instilled in me. When I started that company, I had another job. I was working for WorldCom, which is a telecommunications company. And I started this company on the side. And, we had very humble beginnings. I would work a full-time shift. I would come home, eat dinner with the family, and then I'd go into that little 200 square foot office, and all night long, I would take the yellow pages and I would make call after call after call after call until I had no voice left. And I think that entrepreneurs need to understand that it's not easy, and it takes sacrifices, and you have to do things that other people are unwilling to do. I always say that the entrepreneurial, the CEO hours are those hours where most people have stopped working, they've gone to bed, and that's what makes the difference. So I would show up there at 8 o'clock at night after the kids were asleep, and I would make calls until about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I wasn't getting anyone on the phone. Obviously, these were voicemails. Yeah. But I would be relentless. And then the next day I would do it again, and I would do it again, and I'd do it again. And eventually, some of those opportunities started to pay off. People started to call. But I was in those early years, I was willing to do anything and everything to succeed. I remember our first client, I'll tell this story real fast. Our first client that is notable was the Los Angeles Kings.
Oh, wow.
Now,
that's a great client, right?
I say it's notable because there was probably some small companies prior to that. But here's what happened. I knew that we were not going to survive off of these small little projects that we were being given by these small corporations, right? These small companies. And so I set my eyes. I knew that the AEG was located in Los Angeles at the Staples Center. Yeah. So I drove there one day. And I watched the building. I knew that in the building, it was the Kings, the Lakers, and the Galaxy. All were headquartered in this office. And I sat there and I watched, and I realized that there was a security guard at the entrance. And if you didn't have an appointment and credentials, they were not going to let you in the building. Yeah. And so I sat there
the famous gatekeeper, huh?
Yes, the famous gatekeeper. Yeah. There were two that day, but that was one of them.
Gatekeepers.
And so I'm watching, and people are going in the building, and this lady walks up to the security guard, and he's looking through her purse, and he drops it. Oh. And everything spills onto the floor. Oh. Wow. And I said to myself, this is my only shot. So I run past the security, and I jump into the elevator, and I hit 3. Yeah. I didn't know who was going to be on the floor. I was like, it's going to be hockey, it's going to be soccer, or it's going to be basketball. So the doors open up, and it was the LA Kings. I said, okay, good. I don't like hockey, but of all the 3, I'm like, okay, it's the Kings. So I got off, and I went up to the receptionist, and I said, I have a meeting with your head of marketing, but I can't remember her name. And so she offered the name up. Yeah. And I don't remember the name now, but let's just say she said, oh, you mean Martha? And I was like, yes, that's Martha. The name. Exactly. Martha. Of course. She said, I'm so sorry. She calls this person, we'll call her Martha. Martha comes out completely apologetic. I'm so sorry. Did we have a meeting? It's not on my calendar. I told myself, you have 60 seconds before they throw you out of the building. And so I gave an elevator pitch. I said, no, we don't have a meeting, but let me tell you what you need to hear. Yeah. Here's who I am, here's what I do, and here's why it matters. And you need to remember those 3 things. I tell every company, know who you are, know what you do, and know why it matters, right? Yes. And so that's what I gave her.
I love that. Please take notes here. Okay.
So I told her, here's who I am, here's what I do, here's why it matters. She said, you know what? That was brave, what you did.
Yeah. Going through the security
guard. Call me next week. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend anybody do that, actually. This was this was 20 years ago. Yeah, times are different now.
Pre 9/11.
Pre 9/11, pandemic, free everything. So I wouldn't recommend you do that now. But she said, you know what? That was courageous. Call me next week, and we'll see if we can give you an opportunity. And sure enough, the King's Foundation gave us our first job. That transitioned into the Galaxy. We started to do work for them. And that's how we started to kind of build our portfolio of clients. Nice. But you have to be willing to do what others are not willing to do, so that you can get to places.
Yeah, we usually say this in Spanish, that Gustavo said, you work from 9 to 5 to pay the bills, and then you create your empire after that. And then you are like a real life example.
Correct.
Well, wonderful. That's a great story.
Yes. So you always say it, right?
Por favor. Si esto no es inspiracional, yo no sé qué puede serlo. Okay, let's talk about the traffic.
Sure.
We got the logo of your company. I hope this is the right logo.
That's the right logo. Okay. Yeah, that's it.
And we found it. Then tell us about traffic, how big it is, how many employees.
Sure.
I mean, whatever you can share, of course.
When I started Traffic, I started with a friend of mine. So we were sitting having coffee one day at Starbucks. Yeah. And he was a graphic designer, and my background was in sales. So he was looking at the Starbucks cup, and he was looking at the design, and he says, I could do better than this. I don't like the font. I don't like the color. And I said, he says, I just don't know how to get in front of people. Yeah. So I said, if I get you in front of people, can you do that work? Yeah. He's like, absolutely. I said, I can get you in front of people.
Okey-dokey.
So that's how the idea of the company was started. And then we started it in that little office. I would tell this story too. My business partner at the time wanted to start the company in his garage.
Okay.
And I have no problem with entrepreneurs utilizing the resources they have. If all you can do is start your business in your closet, in your bathroom, in your garage, in your kitchen, by all means, start it.
Yeah. The thing is to start.
Is to start. But I knew that by investing a little bit of money in the smallest office we can find, just having that place that was outside of your home would get you into a mindset that was different than being at home. And I would encourage everybody who's starting a business to think about the mindset that you have in your home and what you'll tap into once you get yourself out of the house. It's the same reason why I tell people to get dressed up every day. Exactly. Get up, take a shower, get dressed up like you're already successful. Correct. Because then it'll put you in the mindset to be. So anyway, we started the company. It was just him and I. And about 6 months into it, he just did not have the stomach for being an entrepreneur. And any of you that have started a company, you'll know this. Yeah. It's inconsistent. One day you get a check, you may not get a check for weeks,
Yeah.
months after
For
that.
months.
It's hard. It's hard.
It is. I have a phrase for that. Every day you are unemployed.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, you need to get out, get a job.
You need to hustle. You need to be willing to sacrifice, and it's going to be hard for a while. So about 6
So
months.
they do it split.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he basically left. He quit. Told me he couldn't do it anymore, and I was alone in that office, and I had a choice to make: go back to doing telecom, comfortable, check, corporate, or stay the course and do this. I stayed the course and I did it. So I went from one employee to hiring a designer to moving from Downey to City of Commerce at the Citadel.
Yeah.
To then moving to Los Angeles off Alameda and 3rd Street, where we started to grow a little more. 10 years ago, we moved to Orange County. We started to expand. Our company right now sits at about 60 employees.
Nice.
We have some of the best graphic designers, writers, programmers, art directors, creatives, strategists in the business. And we went from those small little mom and pop companies to mid-sized businesses. Now, some of our clients are Fortune 500 companies that are number one in their industry across the globe. And we work in telecom, education, healthcare, energy. We have a pretty big, diverse portfolio.
And that's a key. And when you have a business, you cannot depend on one single client.
Correct.
So that's why your company was so successful. Because
Diversify.
Yes,
You have
that's
to diversify.
same thing when you do an investment, Gustavo. You have to
Exactly, you gotta
diversify.
diversify.
You can't stay with a single industry, because if that industry goes down, your business is going to go the same way.
Correct. You can't be dependent on any one source of revenue or income.
Yes.
So we intentionally diversify, and we usually, there's seasonality in businesses too.
Yes.
So if you've diversified enough, when one dips, one raises, the other dips, the other raises. So we've been pretty consistent. And when we got the distinction in 2020 as one of the fastest growing companies in America, that was after 2018, we had the same designation. What's significant about that is that usually companies have that percentage of growth in the first few years because you're compounding and you're growing.
Yeah.
So the fact that 20 years into it, that we have that designation means that we're constantly innovating. We're constantly trying to figure out how to evolve as a company. So many companies die because they do not change. They're so strict, they're so set in their ways that they don't change with the time, they don't change with technology, and they don't change as their consumers change. And we're constantly telling our clients, as technology changes, as your consumer behavior changes, your business has to change.
Correct.
And if not, you die.
Yes.
Go.
And that happened to many companies in many industries during the pandemic. Accountants being one of them. They don't have a website. They don't have portals. They don't have anything. They can talk to their clients online. Boom, they're gone.
Yeah.
And they say, we prefer to retire, close our doors, instead of upgrade. They do that.
Yeah, they're people like that. Yeah, they're hard-headed. But it's not the case with you guys. I know all of you are enjoying what Mr. Trimino is sharing with us. And now, so we can resume that the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Yes, sure. That's exactly right. There's no replacement for sweat equity.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Sweat equity. Yeah, I like
Sweat
that word
equity.
too.
We're getting a lot of good phrases today.
Yeah, sweat equity. Okay. We need to take a break.
Yes.
When we come back, we want to ask you about family and values and all that, because I believe that's pretty much is the keystone of pretty much every single entrepreneurship out there, right?
Faith, family is the bedrock of any successful company.
Yes,
that's what I believe.
Those are the values. We're going to continue that after 1 minute break. Awesome. Thank you.
El Triunfo Corporation, una firma empresarial completa. En el Triunfo Corporation, Carlos Guaman y su equipo de expertos le ayudan en todo lo que necesite para su negocio. Prepárese con su corporación y tenga su contabilidad al día. Hasta con un ITIN number, usted puede ser dueño de su propia corporación y ahorrarse miles de dólares en impuestos. El Triunfo Corporation, una firma empresarial completa. Todo lo que necesita para tener un negocio exitoso. contabilidad, impuestos personales y de su negocio, seguros de vida, 401ks y los mejores planes de jubilación. Llame ahora para una cita al 888-414-7944. 888-414-7944. 888-414-7944. El Triunfo Corporation, una firma empresarial completa. Y si quiere empezar una nueva y lucrativa carrera en el mundo de las finanzas, en el Triunfo Corporation nosotros personalmente le entrenamos. 888-414-7944. 888-414-7944. Carlos Guaman y sus expertos, esperamos tu llamada.
Ya regresamos, es el Triunfo Financiero. Y el día de hoy estamos hablando inglés, tenemos a Anthony Trimino. Y espero que esté disfrutando mucho lo que está platicando el día de hoy con nosotros. Ya sabe, le pedimos 3 cosas: que nos vea, que nos comente. De hecho, vamos a leer algunos comentarios, ya Carlos los tiene listos. Y por supuesto que nos comparta. Es bien importante que se comparta todo esto. Ya sabe que estamos en nuestro canal de YouTube. Cuando usted le da un like a nuestra campanita en el canal, entonces le va a anunciar cada vez que estemos en vivo. Y por supuesto en el Facebook Live todos los jueves 7 de la noche, tiempo del Pacífico, para que nos haga el favor de compartir con todos. Estamos entonces ya de vuelta, vamos a hablar un poco de prioridades, de valores y todo lo demás. Pero, don Carlos, hay comentarios ahí.
Sí, tenemos comentarios. Sí, Tomasito nos va a ayudar ahorita a ir poniéndole. Corina Franco nos manda muchos saludos. Sí. Dice, it's a pleasure to meet Mr. Trimino. Luis Medrano Pimentel dice, saludos, mentores, con todo.
Con todo, ya.
Dice Olga Moreno, dice, hola amigos.
Marta Moreno.
Marta Moreno, ¿qué tal, Martita? Y también Leo Rueda dice, saludos desde Chin Bravas, Zacatecas, amigos. Estamos de la Pineda, dice, watching now.
Ok, thank you.
Ok, saludos desde Moreno Valley, California, Miguel Ángel Limón. Y tenemos a Juan Esparza, que nos manda muchos saludos. Dice, ahí estamos. Muchísimas gracias a todas las personas que están conectados.
Compártanos.
Y para verlos, ahorita vamos a continuar con prioridades. Priorities. Those are best.
Yes.
Tell me about what are your priorities nowadays?
My priorities nowadays, as they've always been, my faith and my family. And on those 2 pillars, I build every aspect of my life. So back when I started the company, you know, everything that I did was through hard work, I said, sweat equity, but a lot of favor, a lot of God's grace, creating opportunity. And so I've been a firm believer. God is at the center of my life in all things. And then obviously my family. My family is my why, right? Yeah. Like everybody needs a why. And my family is my why. They're the reason during those early days that I had the energy at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, making those calls over and over again. It wasn't about me. It was about the life I wanted to give to my family, right? And so when on days that I feel weak, mentally, emotionally, I struggle, I just think about why. I think about why I'm doing what I'm doing, and they give me the energy and they give me the fight to continue to do what I do.
Yeah, those are really important. When you have a reason why are you doing things, it's not because of the money. Because if you put a goal, let's say in 2022, you put a goal, I want to make $1 million. You're making $1 million, but you may destroy your health, you may destroy your family, may destroy your relationships.
Sure.
So what was the point?
Yeah.
So the why is the whole reason.
Correct.
And then you do it. Actually, there is a great book from Simon, what is it?
Sinek.
Yep. They say starting with a why.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you go for the golden circle.
Yes, exactly.
So I strongly recommend that book
for
as well. Any entrepreneur.
Yes.
So you start with that why, anything may happen for a good reason.
Correct. So,
priorities, okay.
Priorities.
Let's talk about family, you know. I know you're a family man, and how important, well, you just mentioned something on that regard. How important is family in your life and the support that I'm pretty sure you're getting from your children, from your wife?
I've actually been very fortunate because unfortunately, a lot of entrepreneurs, when we have these dreams and we have these ideas, they happen in here, but those around us don't necessarily always share our passion. Yeah. They don't see how a lot of times, you know, to be an entrepreneur, you have to be courageous. A lot of times you're surrounded by people they like safety. They like consistency, and entrepreneurialism is not that. And so there are a lot of entrepreneurs that I've seen struggle because they do not have family support. They don't have people around them encouraging them.
Tan loco este.
I've not been that.
Say.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
I've not been that person. My family always believes if I say, hey, I'm going to set out to do this thing, they believe it as much, if not more than I do. They just submit to that idea. They believe in it and they support it. So everything that I've done in my life, I've had the support of my family, the backing of my family. And in fact, we were just talking at the break, my family is actually involved in many aspects of what I'm doing right now. Both
that's
my
important,
agency, the political stuff, and you know, even ventures, side ventures, and things that I'm doing. So I believe that, you know, it's critically important to have family around you, and to build whatever we build is really not for us. It's really to build a legacy for the generations to follow.
Now, Mr. Trimino, any suggestion for the entrepreneur out there watching us that they don't have that support, especially from his wife, her husband? What would you tell them?
Well, to be a successful entrepreneur, you're going to have to do really good convincing people that what you're doing is valuable and viable. So start with your family. So when I started my business, I had to go in, I gave that 60-second pitch to the lady from the Kings. I had to get her to believe in me, right? As I go today, even as we pitch corporations and companies, I walk into a room and my job is to convince them to believe in my ideas, to believe in my passion. Well, if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur and you're going to do that to clients, start with your family. You need to sit them down and you need to share your vision with them. You need to understand who your audience is, just like in business. Understand who your audience is. Identify those things that create anxiety, those roadblocks, those obstacles, and address them. Look, this is what I want to do. And I know that you're concerned about this, this, and this. Let's break it down. Here's why you shouldn't be concerned about this. Here's what I'm going to do to ensure this doesn't happen. And here's what we're going to do about this. Now, will you join me on this journey? If you can't do that with your family, it's going to be very difficult to do it with strangers who have never met you. It's part of the process.
Yes, I notice a lot of business owners, when they start, they never tell the family member or the close friend what they do. And so after months when they're in business, they say, oh, why did you buy the house with that agent? Remember, I'm a loan officer. I didn't know that you're a loan officer. When did you start that? A couple years ago. Yeah. So you have to tell your best friends, you have to tell your family what you do and why you're doing it, so they know exactly they can send you business. But be careful. No, make sure don't give it like everything for free. You have to collaborate with the business and pay for it.
You got to draw lines.
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about education. And not only education from the business perspective, but education in general, especially for our community, our state of California. How do you approach the education struggle that I believe we are suffering, especially from public education? What do you see right now? What can you tell us?
Well, now that's a transition into the whole other endeavor that I'm pursuing. But before we go there, I think we can all agree that our school systems, they're broken.
Yeah, I believe so.
They're, you know,
I mean, not everybody agrees with me or with you, but
I would ask anyone watching: do you feel safe sending your kids to school? Not only physically safe, but also about what they're going to teach. You got to ask yourself: you send your kids to learn science and history and mathematics and spelling and grammar. Why is it that they're coming home talking to you about subject matter that only belongs at the dining room table?
Correct.
And so what's happening is the state and our school systems are trying to co-parent with us. They're trying to say, hey, we've got it from here. We'll talk to your daughter about sex. We'll talk to your daughter about, you know, sexuality, about identity. We'll talk to your daughter about politics. No, there was never the intention of school. That's not their role. That's my correct. Job as a father.
Yes.
That's my wife. My wife and I will have these conversations with our child. So the school system's broken, and I think we need to revamp it. And that's part of why I'm doing what I'm doing on the political side. But I do believe that an educated society is a very powerful one. And I believe that our government doesn't necessarily, I believe they don't necessarily want the minority community to be as highly educated as we can be. If you think about minorities, you know, we don't have enough role models. telling us that we can achieve anything. We don't have enough role models in government, in Hollywood, in all of these, in corporate America. We don't have enough role models. And we need more role models telling us what is possible, showing us, giving us a path. And education is definitely a component of that. And I think that somebody needs to address it, and that's what I'm looking to do.
One thing that also I'm looking for in education, either in the 12 years or including the university, is about teaching about finances. That's nothing there. It's pretty much zero. So when kids get out of high school, they don't even know how to manage a tax return.
Sure.
They don't know. They don't
Or
have
a
even a
checking
529 plans. They don't have a 401k. They don't have no idea about finances. So what do you think about that?
I have this vision for education where I would create leadership academies in high school. So you guys have heard of master classes.
Yes.
Right? So imagine a master class is basically, if you don't know, a master class is an online course given by an expert in that field. So imagine the brightest minds on the planet putting together a curriculum or a class that's online that we can actually give to our high school students, teach them finance.
Yes.
Imagine Warren Buffett teaching investment.
Wow.
Perfect.
Imagine Elon Musk teaching inventing or engineering or space exploration. And so my vision for school is leadership academies where we would take the brightest and best minds, build an online curriculum, still have teachers in the classroom because it should be teacher guided, and start to train up our youth to be the next CEOs of our country or of the world. CEOs, inventors, engineers, investors, bankers, developers, accountants, whatever they want to be. But I believe that we could actually train them up so that at a high school level they can decide either to pursue higher education or go right into the workforce, but be better equipped to succeed.
So you can be ready to go.
Ready to go.
Yeah, we were discussing with Gustavo last week about the bankrupts. So when somebody has to go to bankruptcy court, they have to go through a class so they can teach how to manage their money. So why don't we do that before? So they know how to manage their budget. They know how to manage the check. They don't go crazy with the credit cards. They know how to manage the FICO score because they open a lot of doors. But you can teach that to a kid now.
Sure.
So you don't have to wait until they go to BK. So those are the things that we have to be more progressive to teach people and see how the whole United States and financial system work. Not until you get in trouble.
Thankfully, now with technology, I think if you guys have children, you know that you can access videos on YouTube and pretty much figure out how to do anything. So education tools do exist. It's unfortunate that they don't exist within our public school system because we're paying for it.
Exactly. Now, are you aware? I'm pretty sure you're aware of. This is an uphill battle. I mean, you got the whole system against exactly this. Did you pitch these ideas to Governor Newsom or the LSUSD or the UTLA syndicate?
Our governor is the one responsible for allowing the degradation of our schools. So he's not necessarily going to be open to innovating in that area. So the next best thing is fire him. Put someone in place that will do it.
I'm all for it.
And that's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to get in. I think California doesn't just need a governor. California needs a CEO.
Yes.
But California needs a CEO with moral values, a CEO that understands family, the importance of family, has good family values, that will have a family first agenda. And I honestly believe, sitting in this room, when is the last time that a governor or a president looked like us?
Nope.
Had our background, our history, our heritage.
Never.
Right?
I mean,
so okay, but think about it.
Recently.
But think about it here in California. But why is that? We represent over 40% of the population here in California. 61% of the population in California is a minority to some extent, whether it's Asian, Black, or Hispanic. Why are we not putting every governor in office? Every president in office.
We need leaders like you.
We need leaders. We need somebody that does it first to inspire the generation behind, to say, if he can do it, I can do it.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm trying to do, trying to be the first.
Wow. Okay, I like that. Can we go to the next? Hey, let's talk about taxes.
Okay.
But I think we can go this after the next break because it's going to take a while. We'll come back in a minute.
En el Triunfo Corporation proveemos servicios de contabilidad profesional. Con nuestro servicio, tú manejas tu negocio, nosotros corremos los números. Tienes bastante que hacer con la gestión de tu negocio. Deja que nuestro experimentado equipo se encargue de todo el complejo trabajo de contabilidad, incluida la clasificación de transacciones diarias y el seguimiento de gastos, nómina, pago y facturación. En el Triunfo Corporation nos aseguraremos de que siempre tenga una idea clara de su situación financiera. Confíe en que su trabajo de contabilidad administrativa se procesa de manera precisa y oportuna. Ahorre tiempo valioso, recupere todas esas horas dedicadas a la contabilidad y utilícelas para hacer avanzar su negocio. El Triunfo Corporation, localizado en el 1415 al este de la 17 Street en Santa Ana, California. Llámenos al 714-953-2707. 714-953-2707. Encuéntrenos en todas las redes sociales y cada semana en el Triunfo Financiero.
Ya estamos de vuelta. Ya sabe, 3 cosas le pedimos. Véanos, coméntenos, compártanos. Véanos, coméntenos, compártanos. Véanos, coméntenos, compártanos. Al ratito vamos a leer más de los comentarios que está usted haciendo. Estamos platicando junto con don Carlos Guaman, con nuestro invitado de la noche del día de hoy en el Triunfo Financiero. Es Anthony Trimino. Bueno, ya conocimos sus antecedentes, ya sabemos que es un entrepreneur, es un emprendedor. Sabemos que tiene una empresa muy exitosa, que le da trabajo a más de 60 personas, que son más de 60 familias. Y pues también le toca pagar impuestos. Let's talk about taxes, no?
Yeah, taxes. Taxes is one of the major problems that California has. So that now they're saying, oh, we're going to give you Golden State stimulus checks. But who has to pay? Small business.
Sure.
The governor this week, he announced that they say, oh, probably going to pass a new law. They're going to require a small business to pay additional 40 hours for COVID-related sick days.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're required to pay also regular sick day. Then you have holidays, and then some companies pay time off. So when are the employees going to be working? So many days, so many hours.
Well, we're already struggling right now. A lot of small businesses, I'm sure, that are watching are already struggling getting people to get back to work.
Yes.
Because the incentive to stay home and just continue to stay on unemployment is just so great that it's imploding our economy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, with new laws that are passed with independent contractors and then additional taxes, we have to pay additional paid time off. I mean, I have almost 60 employees. That would apply
to you.
All 60 of my employees.
Oh, yes.
And we already give, robust benefits and time off and holidays. And you're right, there comes a point where it starts to impact people's ability to do their job, which then impacts our ability to serve our clients, which then impacts our relationship, which ultimately kind of puts a strain not only on resources, but even on the relationship. So again, this is what happens when you have politicians making policy that affects small business without ever knowing what it is to be a small business. And that's why we need an entrepreneur and a CEO in office.
That's correct.
There's this whole ideology, I call it like the Robin Hood theory, where the government wants to tell them, the middle class, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to heavily target and tax successful entrepreneurs and middle-sized and large corporations. We're going to protect you, but we're going to tax the heck out of all of these other people. So what happens when they do that? These big corporations end up leaving.
Yes.
They leave California, they take their jobs, and then they take their tax dollars. So then what does that do? It puts unnecessary tax burden on the middle class. It all trickles down. And so that whole idea that we're going to punish those that succeed is just absurd. And it's just a talking point. It's a political talking point to keep people in office, but ultimately it's hurting the middle class.
Yeah, because they're saying, yes, I want to get all the benefits. So right now, California also has the employment tax credit. So if you are an employee, you make less than $30,000, you're allowed to get $3,160. But you say, just give me only $30,000. So you have to be in a low level.
Yeah,
so
you gotta be poor.
You have to be poor. But at the same time, it doesn't give you the incentive to make more money.
Correct.
Because there are some people say, I want to keep it like that.
Yeah,
I want to get an
forever.
income tax credit. I want to stay right there on the sweet spot so I can get more money.
Correct.
But I don't think that's the real American dream mentality.
It's the opposite of the American dream. That's how government keeps a certain segment of the population oppressed and dependent on the government.
Yes.
So those people will want to continue to vote for those politicians that allow them to maintain that lifestyle.
Yes.
So would you say that that is the ultimate goal for this type of government, just to be in place, to be in control, to be in power? That is, I mean, that's the whole goal for them?
Well, you know, in communist countries, that's the goal.
Yeah.
And a lot of people would argue that a lot of what's happening here, it starts to look like socialism,
Yeah.
starts to smell like communism. So yes, I do believe that the bigger government gets, the worse it is for the population.
That's a
And our
fact.
government is getting pretty big right now.
Yes, they have control in so many powers.
Yes.
They also, the IRS announced that this year they're going to have a more tax credit. So they're going to give their earned income tax credit as well for if you make $57,000 or less, they give you $6,728. So if you add it up, it's
You
more
know
than
your numbers.
Yes.
Obviously, this guy's in finance.
I've been talking about this the whole week.
Yeah, okay.
So you're getting more than 10,000 just pushing you to
Yeah.
work less, to not start a business, and to be under the certain level. So
Correct.
do you think this is a great mentality for nowadays?
It's the poor man mentality. It's keeping people oppressed, and it's not teaching them what they're capable of. That's why there's not enough people like us in, you know, places of great influence, because it's too easy. It's too easy to just take the handout. It's too easy to get comfortable.
Yeah.
I tell people a lot of times, you know, the conversation at the dinner table in a lot of homes in the Hispanic community are, hey, you need to get a good job,
Yeah.
good benefits,
Yeah.
be happy.
Yeah.
Very seldom are they saying, you need to change the world. You need to be president. You need to be governor. You need to own Apple one day. Those are not the conversations we're having with our kids. Hispanic families especially, and minority families as a whole, need to have those conversations with their kids.
Yeah.
Don't be comfortable with mediocre. Don't take what they're willing to give you. If they're willing to give you that, that means there's a lot more to be had. Go after it. Go get it. Pursue it. And I think we need more people stepping up and being examples for our youth.
Yeah, so that's why I tell any small business owner, say, if you plan the quinceañera or a wedding, you can plan the same way your small business.
Yes.
You're going to be successful.
In fact, the cost of a quinceañera, you can start a small
Yeah,
business that will pay for 100 quinceañeras over time.
Yes.
You know, we're also, and you think about it, especially in the minority communities, we are not taught finance.
No.
We're not taught how to invest. And if you think about the cost of a quinceañera, I mean, some would argue, hey, have a smaller party, put that investment for your daughter into the stock market, into real estate, and watch that compound over time. And before you know it, she won't regret the quinceañera that she didn't have when she's buying the house that she got because of the investment you made for her 10 years ago. It's just a mentality. It's a mentality switch we need to have.
Yeah, today I have a meeting with 3 dentists. They're sisters. There is a program, the California program. There are some good programs in California. We can say everything is bad, right?
Sure.
But they have a partnership with La Salle in Guanajuato, in Mexico. So you can study over there to become a dentist licensed in California, and then you come over here, take the test, and you can able to put your own practice. Yeah. You're a licensed dentist. And now they're going to open 3 locations. And they say, oh yeah, I want to start building my own house. I say, hold on. This is not about building houses. Why don't we just buy a building where you're going to have your practice? So now you're a real estate investor, you have your own practice, and then from there, you're going to be able to buy your own house.
At the right time.
Yes, but you have to do the other way around.
Sure.
Yeah, people think their real American dream is buying a home.
Buying stuff. People think that it's buying stuff, and it's
look expensive.
Correct. And it's like, I can't tell you how long we had to sacrifice before we could buy anything of value. I tell this story often. Our very first car, my wife and I, when we finally were able to purchase our first car, it was a Honda Civic, and my father-in-law had a cosign. The very first week we had that car, I crashed it. I dented the entire hood. We got the insurance check a couple weeks later, $900. Fixed the car, eat. Fix the car, eat. We ate. We didn't fix the car.
Thank God you're alive.
Five years later, when I turned that car in, it still had the dent.
Yeah.
Because it was about priorities.
Yes.
It was about priorities. I didn't care that there was dinner on the car. It was more important putting food on the table, providing for my kids, investing in us. And so we need to get in that mindset that, the material things don't matter. There's a time and a place for that.
Yeah. Yes.
There will be a time and a place. I have this idea that if it exists, why can't I experience it? If there's a place on earth, I should be able to visit it. If there's a car to be driven, why can't I drive it? But there's a time and a place.
Correct.
It only comes after the sacrifice. And there will be a time, if you put in the effort, there will be time and a place where you can do those things for you, but more so, you'll be in a position to do it for 100 other people.
Correct.
And that's when you start to do things like that. But on the journey, it's about sacrifice. It's about picking and choosing, prioritizing, and making investments to have a return on it.
Right.
That's correct. Okay. Going back to taxes, what do you think about sales taxes? Every year, there is always upgrading the taxes on at the city level, because California keep it at 1%. It's around 6% or something along those lines. But every city, they start deciding to increasing, pretty much punishing small businesses, punishing their own citizen because they say they need more money.
Yeah.
So if we were, and we are, business owners, and every year we had to increase the cost of our fees to our clients.
Yeah.
It's likely because of mismanagement of funds. It's likely it's either we want to make more money, right? Or really most of the time it's because our overhead goes up, our cost of employment goes up, payroll
inflation.
Costs. Things happen, right? But it's usually a byproduct of us mismanaging our money.
Yes.
Well, same thing with the government. The reason why we keep getting taxed is because they don't know how to manage the money.
Yeah.
So rather than renegotiate contracts, rather than stop unnecessary spending, rather than actually looking at the books and saying, here's how we can cut, they just say, let's just keep it all, charge you a little bit more, and make up for it. It's a corrupt system.
Yes.
And there's no accountability.
None whatsoever.
As taxpayers, we should be able to audit.
Yes.
We should be able to say, open the books.
Yeah.
Let's see, put out a report every month, and let's look at where our money's going. If I was governor, part of what I would do is to work with economists to implement that very thing. Wouldn't you want to know? Wouldn't you want to get a report every month?
Yes.
Saying, hey, here's where your tax dollars went. And it would even imagine a day when you can even allocate to say, hey, these are the things that are important to me.
Can you
Correct.
I'd like to divide my taxes up between these different buckets. I mean, that's America.
Yeah, just giving an example. A couple of days ago, they're doing some construction right across the street. They make a big hole, and you can see the employees, the workers, or whatever company hired, they were sitting down, having coffee, having so much fun, and say, hey, those guys making like more than $30 an hour, and they're sitting there. Who's managing them?
Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah.
Now, I just have a conversation recently with Miguel Santiago, who happens to be an assemblyman for the area of Maywood, that area in Sacramento. And I just, plain told him, you know what, you guys are very bad with using my tax money. You guys are a disaster. And the guy got mad. But you know what? At the end of the day, it is real. I mean, they don't have enough money to waste or to invest or whatever they choose to do, to pick. But that's a problem. They don't know how to manage a budget.
It's not their money. I find sometimes even with my employees, when we're talking about vendor costs, it's easy for them to approve estimates for vendors that come in because they can justify it. Oh, well, someone's performing a job. That seems like a reasonable rate. Okay, I'm going to approve it. And I asked them, let me ask you something. What if we were in your house and that was a plumber? Would you just allow them to charge you that?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you question?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you actually want multiple bids? Wouldn't you want to make sure that you were getting value? What's the difference? And that's what happens is when people are managing other people's money, they don't go through the same, they don't take it personal.
Yeah.
And they
don't care.
They don't care.
They just
that was the
You said it better. They don't care.
So what do you think about on taxing people that they don't have a healthcare? Because Governor Newsom said, you don't have it, I'm going to tax you.
I'm gonna punish
$800 for each family member, up to 2% of your gross income. That can be a huge penalty.
It is a huge penalty. healthcare infrastructure in California is broken. Single payer healthcare right now, you have 97% of California that's insured, but the single payer healthcare bill is really for the 3% that are not. And it's going to double our taxes.
Yeah.
It's completely absurd. It makes absolutely no sense. And then it puts control of healthcare in the hands of the government.
Again.
Which creates more of a socialist kind of look, right?
Yep.
Starts to smell like socialism, act like socialism, it must be socialism.
Yep.
And then you get into what happens when the government is in control of the healthcare system.
Asústame, Panteón.
Then you start to see, okay, what happens then when the government says, you can go to this urgent care, but maybe because of your vaccination status, you're not allowed.
Yeah.
And because of decisions you made, you can't go there. And now all of a sudden you can't get healthcare.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when we give power to the government to make those choices for us. And so we have to fight against those kind of policies.
Híjole. Bueno, as I mentioned before, it looks like a very uphill battle. Do you see any light at the end of this tunnel?
Yeah, put the light on me. I am the light at the end of the tunnel. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes.
I love it.
That's what we're here.
I'm hoping to be the light at the end. No, I actually have a lot of hope for California. I believe that the American dream is on life support. I really do.
Yeah.
But I don't believe it's completely dead. I believe that it can be resurrected. I believe that as long as people like us keep having these conversations, keep inspiring the next generation to come up to fight, to get active, to run for political office, to use their influence in the business community, I think we can turn it around. I think that we're hitting rock bottom, and I think that a lot of times, and if as parents, we know sometimes our kids need to hit rock bottom before they realize that hurt, and then they take corrective action. I think California is hitting rock bottom. I think there's not really too far low. There's not too far, lower for us to go. So I think we're set up for a big rebound.
Yes.
I think we're set up right now for people in the business community, in the church community, in the political community to actually turn things around. I'm super hopeful of what we can achieve. And I think that this is going to be an incredible year.
Yes, we want to make sure we get that. We don't want an 18% tax in California.
No, we don't.
Yes.
No, we don't want that.
No, we don't want that.
No.
So we want to make sure we take it. But we're going to continue to the next topic after the commercial break.
En el Triunfo Corporation podemos encargarnos de sus complejas y lentas tareas de nómina, incluyendo el procesamiento de nóminas programadas, configuración de empleados, cambios de salario, presentaciones de nómina, procesamiento de W2 y 1099, seguimiento del tiempo y mucho más. Usted y su negocio pueden confiar en que su nómina se procesa con precisión y los impuestos sobre la nómina se presentan a tiempo. Con nuestro servicio de nómina, usted ahorrará innumerables horas si nos permite manejar sus laboriosas tareas de payroll. En la comunidad de su oficina, trabaje con nuestro equipo desde nuestra plataforma segura en línea para procesar la nómina con facilidad y eficiencia. El Triunfo Corporation, localizado en el 1415 al este de la 17th Street en Santa Ana, California. 714-953-2707. 714-953-2707. Encuéntrenos en todas las redes sociales y cada semana en el Triunfo Financiero.
Bueno, estamos de vuelta, seguimos en vivo, ya sabe, todos los jueves 7 de la noche, tiempo del Pacífico, tenemos el Triunfo Financiero. El día de hoy tenemos a Anthony Trimino, un emprendedor, un extraordinario hombre de negocios, que además le gusta la política y no tiene miedo de enfrentarse al establecimiento, el establishment. Junto con don Carlos Guaman estamos platicando con él. Would you say, Anthony, that entrepreneurs will save California or will save the United States?
I think so. I don't think politicians are going to do it. I think entrepreneurs.
Well, they did what we have right now.
Yeah, exactly. I always say, like, you don't send a rat in to deal with a rat infestation. You send an exterminator, right?
I like that one.
So I think
not pun intended, right?
No, I think I honestly think that entrepreneurs will save America because it's not just the business community, but it's the spirit.
Yes,
the entrepreneurial spirit. We like challenges. We like to fix things. We want to innovate. We want to change things. And I think that's what our founders came to do. And I think that's I think that the entrepreneurs of this generation are our best hope at correcting the trajectory of America, that and obviously the church.
Yeah, we don't want the same 30 years lady going back again to be there.
Sure.
Yeah. So we need a change.
Yes, we
and
do.
there is something that is really important now that is affecting California big time. Indigencia is in Spanish. Homeless. So that's a major issue, especially here in Orange County. We are seeing that here in this building. A couple days ago, that's why I saw those people sitting on the camera, those workers that fixing the street, right? They saw one homeless. We can call it homeless, but it's another word for that.
They're just a vagrant.
Yes. Grab a couple rocks and start throwing at one of the glasses here at the building and broke it. So now I have to pay to somebody change that. I have to pay another company to put a film on it. So those are money that are not supposed to go into that. Because there's so many people outside on the street. And I don't think those people are even from California. I think they're sending people over here.
Our governor has said on multiple occasions that he wants California to be a sanctuary state for many different things.
Yes.
One of them is homelessness. I believe that people are coming from all over the United States because we are creating an environment of lawlessness.
Yeah.
Where we welcome them. California pretty much says, hey, if you want a beachfront property in Venice, California, please bring your tent.
By all means,
go ahead, pick your spot. Pick your spot.
Ocean view.
Ocean view, right? Imagine how hard we would have to work to have that type of property right on the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but so you're seeing a mass exodus from other states into California. I don't know why the governor is allowing this to happen. I don't know why mayors are allowing this to happen, but they are.
Yep.
And so what we need to do is we need to make California the most unfriendly state for people to come into and just park. Look, I'm compassionate. There's a problem. A lot of these people are suffering with mental illness. And so, the plan that we have is to really activate the churches and the nonprofits across the state. They already have people, they have processes. They can deal with the spiritual, the emotional, the physical, the mental aspects of it, but they don't have state funding and they don't know how to, like a business, they don't know how to scale.
Yeah.
So if the state came in, funded them, taught them how to scale, united them, we can address at a local level the homeless problem. And then I believe that a lot of those transients that have come from outside of California should probably be sent back.
Yep.
Because the idea that if your last place of residence was, say, Arizona, and you came to California purely to live on the streets, then that governor of Arizona should really be dealing with you, and it shouldn't be on California taxpayer dollars. And our citizens shouldn't be scared to go out at night. You shouldn't have to be fixing your window, and so but the problem is that we have no leadership at the top.
Yep.
So I'm hoping to be the leadership.
Who's making the money out of this problem? Because just follow the money trail. Someone's getting money out of this problem.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be hard to find the money trail there, but I know that what happens in the society is if you create instability and chaos, then the people in charge remain in charge.
Exactly.
And that's what
they
we
create
have.
the problem
We have
so they can stay in power.
instability. Yeah, they stay in power.
Canicos, no?
Yeah. Yeah, but this is a major issue lately. So I'm probably not going to be so happy when now we're going to have the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks. And then people from outside United States are going to come and they're going to see this is
they're
LA.
cleaning. They're
cleaning.
Don't be fooled. What happens is that they'll come in and they'll clean that area, push everybody out. And for that 1 week, it'll look like
nice,
like it should be. And then you give it about 2 or 3 weeks after, and you're gonna see all of that. Just
so they're removing.
Yeah, they did that. They did that. Politicians. You know how politicians are. But you're not a politician, but you want to become one. I don't understand.
I don't want to be a politician. I want to be a CEO, a father, a husband. Someone that believes in strong conservative values that happens to be the governor of California. But I don't want to be a career-long politician.
Yes, this is the next topic that is so important nowadays, security.
Yeah.
It's so scary nowadays. People just getting into any store, grabbing stuff and walk away. You say, this is wrong.
So wrong. So we're not allowing our police officers to be police officers. I have friends and family that are on LAPD and various police departments throughout the state. They're being told, stand down. So you see someone commit a crime, if it doesn't meet this threshold, stand down. Just let it happen. Then we have, the rule that if you steal $950 or less, there's a no chase policy. Yeah. You get away with it. Then we have early release. So if you do commit a crime and the police happen to arrest you and you go to prison, you have no cash bail, and if you get convicted, early release.
So what is the point?
I mean, this is criminal paradise.
Yes, you can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And you can do whatever you want and then get released, do it again, and then get released. So we need to be a society of laws. We need to let our police be police officers. We need to prosecute crimes. We need to make California the most unfriendly state for criminals in the nation. We need to set examples.
Yes.
We need to set strict examples. We need judges that for a period of time will impose the biggest sentences on people so we can show, hey, crime's not going to pay in California anymore. Yeah. It's not going to pay to commit crimes in California.
But when I see, for example, George Gascon or Chisa Boudin and all those wackos who are in charge of this, they were elected. I mean, people voted for them.
That puzzles me every day.
Yeah.
Every day that I see what's happening to our state, I think about the fact that those people were put there by voters. And so all I would say to the people that have voted for any of these names that we've mentioned tonight, maybe you didn't know that this is what the outcome would be. Yep. Maybe you didn't know that person was capable of this. I've always said, God doesn't hold you accountable for what you don't know. But when you know the truth, you become accountable for it.
Yes.
So now that you do know what our governor is capable of, what our mayors are capable of, you have an obligation to change it.
Yeah.
And this year is an election year. And you have an obligation to do your homework, to do your research, to register to vote, and to vote these people out of office. And you need to put people in office that share your values, not just politically, but also your core values, your integrity, character values. If we did that, this year could be that's why I said, I'm so hopeful for this year. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people are realizing what you said. I live in a city that I'm not happy with. I don't feel safe at. Crime's up, homelessness is up. I pay too many taxes, but I put that man and that woman in office. So guess what I can do now?
Take it out.
Take them right out of office.
Okay. And do we have any options? I mean, besides you as a governor, I was checking the list for LA mayor, for example. It's the same thing. I mean, all the candidates are the same people.
There's a couple things. I would encourage any of you out there, entrepreneurs, or you just have a passion, you need to run for office.
Yeah.
We need to encourage more people to run for office. That's number one. So there may be a person that will see this and say, you know what, I've thought about it, but this is the time I need to get involved. You should run for office. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is, do your research, find out who is running, and get behind a candidate that you feel better aligns with your values and your political views, because we cannot allow California politicians that exist today to remain in office.
That's important.
Well, time is running out. We're having a nice conversation with Anthony Trimino. We want to ask you about some tips that you can do. I mean, that you can share with our entrepreneurs out there. Consejos. Give us some consejos, Anthony.
Some tips, huh?
Some tips.
Yes. The golden.
Yeah, I'm ready to write it down.
I mean, it depends on what we're talking about. So many aspects of being an entrepreneur. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be here in front of you guys today if it wasn't because of my faith. So I believe that faith needs to play a significant and important role in your life. You need to build your entire life on a firm foundation. I believe that family is critically important, but really, as far as business is concerned, it's about persistence. Yep. It's about grit. It's about those hours that we said in the morning and at night when everyone else has gone to bed. Those are the hours that matter, right? It's believing that you can achieve everything. I always tell people, you got to believe it, you got to speak it, and you got to walk it.
Yep.
So if you have an idea in your head, so you have to, whatever you want to achieve in life, you have to see it first. You have to imagine it, and you have to believe it. Then you start to speak it. This is what I'm going to achieve. This is what I'm going to do. Whether you're talking to yourself in your car, whether it's in prayer, or you're telling your friends, this is what I'm going to achieve. Gary Vee is very famous for saying he's going to own the Jets one day.
Yeah.
I honestly believe he will because of how much he believes and how much he speaks that.
Yeah.
I think he'll find a way. And then you got to walk it, meaning if you want to be successful, you got to act like you're successful. The way you dress, the way you treat people, your work ethic, you have to have integrity and character. You have to already act like the person that you want to become. And if you're not an entrepreneur, you want to be an entrepreneur, you work for a company, I always tell people, start to act and be that next level of yourself. Yeah. Don't expect someone to call you something and then you earn that. No, you become it first and then they'll title you later. So, but there's, over 20 years, I probably have a million different tips and ideas and things to share, but they're all very specific.
Yeah, but this is a great value. Yeah. I believe you brought a lot of value to our audience tonight, and hopefully we'll see you again and share more thoughts and see
Absolutely.
what's politics in California.
Yeah, maybe the next time I come back, I'll be governor.
Yes.
You know what? That would
be awesome.
Then we'll do this in Sacramento.
Oh, yes.
But now this is the thing. Every single time we speak with the politician, they say, oh, you know what? When I'm governor, when I'm assemblyman, when I'm senator, this and that, I will give you another interview. And they never, ever answer and pick up the phone. That would be the case, huh?
Here, so I believe that one of the people commenting on the live is my mom.
Really?
Yeah. So, all right. Let's bring it on.
Right there, Della Pineda.
Okay.
That one?
Yep.
Delia, watch now.
Della Pineda. So
is that your mom?
So I'm saying that's a picture of my mom and my sister. So I'm saying it now in front of my mom and in front of my two kids. Yeah. When I become governor, we'll do this again.
Okay.
All right.
And they'll all hold me to it.
Perfect. This is recorded.
It's recorded.
It's on social media everywhere.
When's the election? Election time?
It's in November.
November.
So there is not nothing on June?
There is. That's the primaries where the parties nominate and endorse. But November is the big election.
Yes.
So
there's any more competitors that are going to run for the same bid that you're looking for?
The only one that you need to know about.
That's it. That's a good. What can we find in your website?
Oh yeah, mention that.
Sure. AnthonyTrimino.com. It's right there. AnthonyTrimino.com or on Instagram, Trimino. It's me posting. You can hear my heart, my ideas, things that I'm thinking about. So visit online at AnthonyTrimino.com and you can learn about my platform, what I believe in, and what I'm trying to do here in California.
We want to change California.
Change California.
We need to.
Yes.
We must.
So we started with every single idea from a small business that the whole topic was. But you also have to change the mentality of your employees, change the mentality of your neighbors, so we can all together change this beautiful state. Yeah. We don't want to leave California.
No. I mean, Texas is nice and Tennessee, but I don't want to go there. I want to stay here. I want to, produce and work and create and enjoy California.
Yeah, I agree.
But when it change,
yes,
it changes now.
Now, the time is now. This is our year. This is our time.
Yes.
Okie dokie.
I want to make it
happen.
Thank
you very much, Senor Trimino.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. To all our friends on social media, please share this video because we need to change California in one way or another. And that's why we have El Triunfo Financiero every Thursday, 7 p.m.
Órale, pues. Pues nos despedimos en español. Gracias a todos. Compartan esto. Y bueno, los que no conocían a Anthony ahora tienen una oportunidad de comparar lo que hay con lo que puede haber. Yeah. Qué bueno, ¿no?
Lo bueno que vienen buenas opciones, Gustavo.
Sí,
muchísimas gracias nuevamente. Y nos vemos el martes a las 12 para otro show del Triunfo Financiero. Y ahí vamos a hablar de dinero, finanzas, impuestos, porque ahora sí no queremos regalarle el dinero al tío Sam y mucho menos al emperador Newsom.
Emperor Newsom.
Ahí estamos. Buenas noches. Adiós.
Le agradecemos por habernos acompañado una vez más. El Triunfo Financiero, con Carlos Guaman, Gustavo Vargas e invitados. Le esperamos para la próxima. Seguiremos aprendiendo más sobre el mundo de las finanzas. Síganos en nuestras redes sociales, envíenos sus comentarios y recuerde suscribirse a nuestro canal. Y visite nuestro sitio web eltriunfo.com.